The Old Temple of Athena was an archaic temple located on the Acropolis of Athens and built around 525 to 500 BC, until its destruction by the Persians in 480 BC. It was the shrine of Athena Polias, the patron deity of the city of Athens. It was located at the center of the Acropolis plateau, probably on the remains of a Mycenaean palace. The complex is sometimes described by the name Dörpfeld foundations, after the archaeologist who first studied it. It was referred to as Archaios, Old Temple, by the Greeks. Plan. The foundations suggest the following basic description. The temple measured 21.3 by 43.15 meters. It was surrounded by a peristasis of 6 by 12 columns. The difference between column axes was 4.04 m, narrowed by 0.31 meters at the corners. The stylobate was slightly curved. Whether this also applied to the superstructure remains unclear. In both the pronaos and opisthedomos, two columns stood between short antae. The cella was very short, in fact nearly square, and subdivided in 3 aisles by 2 rows of 3 columns each. It was followed by a pair of side-by-side rooms. The foundations were composed of various materials and constructed in varying techniques, while the load-bearing parts and internal supports were made of blue Acropolis limestone. The foundations of the surrounding peristasis were of porous limestone. The superstructure and decorative pieces also appear to have been made from a variety of materials, including porous and Parian marble. The pediments. Remains of one of the pediments have been found. They compose a gigantomachy, the struggle between gods and giants, eventually won by the gods. The central figure of the struggle depicts the goddess Athena wearing an aegis covered with scales and edged by snakes obtained from a monster she previously defeated. She is thought to hit a falling giant, whose foot is the only remain. Another figure features a lying giant, whereas 2 side figures, once posed at the corners of the pediment, depict 2 more falling giants. Other rests ascribed to the temple include entablature and sema of Parian marble, porous capitals with a steeper echinus, a marble frieze depicting a procession, and marble water spouts in each of the 4 corners, shaped as lions and rams' heads. The Zoanon. The cellar of the temple contained the ancient Zoanon, a wooden statue of Athena, believed to have fallen from the sky. It was probably destroyed during the sack by the Persians in 480 BC. Scholarly criticism. The reconstruction of the temple's architectural history has remained controversial until recently. Wilhelm Dörpfeld assumed that the original structure was a double temple in Antes, dating to about 570 BC, lengthened and broadened by the addition of the peristasis under Pisistratus, between 529 and 520 BC. This idea led to a subdivision of the foundations into the inner smaller structure known as Architecture and assumed to be the oldest part of the building, followed by a structure still described as the Old Temple of Athena, including the inner Architecture as well as the external peristasis. More recently, scholars have attributed the older remains, initially attributed to the inner Architecture, to the close Hecatomchian temple, dating the Temple of Athena Polias to the last third of the 6th century BC and identifying its dimensions with the entirety of the foundations excavated by Dörpfeld. The Old Temple of Athena Polias is often dated to circa 510–500 BC. It remains controversial whether a partial restoration of the temple followed the Persian sack of 480 BC. Herodotus mentions a west-facing megaron on the Acropolis. This reference, as well as a structure listed in an inscription, have been interpreted as evidence that the opisthedomos of the Old Temple remained in place through the 5th century. Xenophon states that the Old Temple of Athena burned down in 406–405 BC. But this might also refer to the Erectaion, which had taken over the functions of the Old Temple and housed the Zoanon from the 4th century BC onwards. There are no possible references to the Old Temple. Pausanias was not aware of its existence. Bibliography: Wilhelm Dörpfeld, Der alte Athena Tempel auf der Acropolis. In Mitteilungen des Deutschen Archäologischen Instituts. Abteilung Athen. Volume 11. 1886. p. 337–51. Wilhelm Dörpfeld. Der alte Athena Tempel auf der Acropolis 2. In Mitteilungen des Deutschen Archäologischen Instituts. Abteilung Athen. Volume 12. 1887. 25–61. 190–211. Wilhelm Dörpfeld. Das Hekatomben in Athen. In Jahrbuch des Deutschen Archäologischen Instituts. Volume 34. 1919. p. 1–40. William B. Dinsmore. The Hekatomben on the Athenian Acropolis. In American Journal of Archaeology. Volume 51. 1947. p. 109–51. I. Bayer. Die Datierung der großen Reliefgiebel des alten Athena Tempels der Acropolis. In Archäologische Anzeiger. 1977. p. 44–74. William A. P. Childs. The Date of the Old Temple of Athena on the Athenian Acropolis. In William D. E. Colson al. eds. The Archaeology of Athens and Attica under the Democracy. Proceedings of an international conference celebrating 2,500 years since the birth of democracy in Greece, held at the American School of Classical Studies at Athens. December 4–6. 1992. Oxford 1994. p. 1–6. Manolis Kores. Die Athena Tempel auf der Acropolis. In Wolfram Hopfner. ed. Kult und Kubauten auf der Acropolis. Internationales Symposium vom 7. bis 9. July 1995 in Berlin. Berlin 1997. p. 218–43. Gloria Ferrari. The Ancient Temple on the Acropolis at Athens. In American Journal of Archaeology. Volume 106. 2002. p. 11–35. Stamatia Eleftherato. Acropolis Museum. Guide. Acropolis Museum Editions. Athens 2014. See also. Hekatomben Temple. Older Parthenon. Parthenon. The Acropolis Museum. Gr. Image of the foundations from ASCSA. Net.